Well, welcome back everyone to In Future Tense. This is your host, James Hahn. And right now is the beginning of the MEGASODE. Hey guys, welcome back to the Wayfaring Trekker. Look at this! This is why nobody should live in California. September, and it's flooding our patio. It's a new year, and it's time for some new trips. The question is, if you were the Old West, who would you be? Upon looking back, I've just been amazed, shocked by the amount of impact that one city can have on a person's life. Take a moment to appreciate each other's company and be able to breathe. Now, if you don't live in this area, you probably won't recognize where I'm at. But soon, all will be revealed as I approach the sign declaring the name of my destination and beginning this short tour through an awesome city full of great shops, great food, and great people. I would like to introduce all of you to our first destination, Prospect Park, home of the Redlands Theater Festival. I guess the best way to start off this episode is with a warning. If you do come to Prospect Park, it is extremely tempting to pick off one of these succulent oranges. After all, it's what Redlands is famous for. However, oranges out here are becoming harder and harder to find as the city becomes industrialized. And whether or not these signs have been up for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, especially now, I'd like to ask that you respect the signs, because soon there may be none of these left. And believe me, everybody loves a great cup of orange juice. But the question is, why are we here? Well, this month we are doing a brief history and look at Redlands. And with that, of course, comes some reflection and some lessons that can be learned. This specific location is very special to me because I actually used to come to this park a lot. And I mean a lot when I was younger. Right now, I'm walking down a nice little dirt path. And this path, although it may look beautiful with all the trees and the grass, used to be the destination for cross-country practice. And many a day I spent running up these hills and absolutely dying of exhaustion. That's right, folks. This is where I did cross-country for 3 years. And that is why this particular location is extremely special to me. Because all these trees, all this dirt, the clear blue skies, all bring back the memory of a time now gone by. All that complaining aside, I would like to do a quick shout out to Coach Jeff Lindeman because when I look back at this park, although there's a lot of pain and suffering, there's also a great amount of gratitude and respect and nostalgia. Because even though I didn't like working out, even though I did most of the sports I did just to get out of the house and feel like I was doing something with my life, this park soon became a landmark for me of accomplishment and of beauty. I mean, guys, just look at this view. You can see so much of the beautiful city that we call Redlands from just this spot. Now right now I'm going the back road to one of my favorite little hideouts over here at Prospect Park. It's a place that everybody knows about, but I don't know how many have experienced it the same way I have. Because after practice, if I was waiting to get picked up, or if I was just having a bad day, I would occasionally make my way down to where we're about to go, just for a moment of peace and quiet. Right up here, in the middle of the park, there's the Prospect Park Theater. Now, I don't know the official name for it, but that's what I call it. And there's been many a day where I've come over here, worked on choreography, worked on my books, or just spent time with some of my friends and appreciated the magic of the theater. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend coming out here, because when the lights go down and the stars come out, it is truly a marvelous experience. Now, let's take a break from talking about me for a second and get down to what we're really here for. We're here for a historical look at Redlands. So here's another interesting location that you may want to come check out on your own time. Now, what we're about to look at here in Prospect Park is the carriage house. Now, this carriage house was built in 1896, and the last major renovation was done in 1996. But this building has huge historical value, because although it started off as a historical building here, an actual carriage house, if you will, it soon became the source of funding and the source of events here in the park, making sure that income was always coming in and making sure that people always knew that this park was still here for the public's enjoyment. You can have weddings here, you can have dances here, you can have whatever kind of thing you want to do here. Of course, you have to have the money. But it is a wonderful spot if you are going to do something, because it's rather private, and right behind you, you have the theater. Now, I'm not sure how close I'll be able to get, but what I want to try and show you today, before we move on to our next destination, is the Kimberly Crest, which was built in 1897 and is still a historical landmark. Well, looks like we won't have too much luck getting in today. But if you want to get a full tour, come down Thursday, Friday, and Sunday between 1 to 4 p.m. Oh, and no picnicking inside the house, guys. I don't know if it's always been so locked off, but when I used to come during cross-country practice, I used to be able to run up and down the stairs of this property. I'm going to try and see if I can get you a good angle at it. I can't take any pictures and post them, though, because of the regulations that are clearly posted at the bottom of the driveway. Here's a brief look, so you can kind of see the Kimberly Crest house. I'm hoping I can bring you guys back some other time and show you the inside. Now, this next location a lot of you actually know about, but you may not be aware that it's still here. Right now, we're at the Santa Fe Redlands train depot. Now this train depot has been closed for quite some time, but they've left the remains of it here for us to be able to come and enjoy. Now you may be wondering what's so important about an old railroad station that nobody really remembers. Well, quite simply, remembering a place like this is remembering how far we've come. You know, there was a point in time where all we had was steam-powered locomotives and basic cars. You know, people couldn't just hop over to a dealership, pick up a car, and drive off with it. Cars were for the wealthy. You know, so the people who couldn't afford a car would hop on a train to go wherever they were going to go. Now, looking at the world as we have it now, you could walk down to a used car dealership, buy a car for $1,000 or two. You know, you could go down and you could buy yourself a bus ticket, a plane ticket, a train ticket. We have a lot of options to get wherever we want to go. So it's important to come to places like this and just realize for a second how far we've advanced because of the desire to travel, to see new things, and to explore something bigger, better, and more glorious. Now, there are no longer trains running here. There are no longer trucks coming in and out. The entire area around it has built up and become stores and bars and antiques. But at one point in time, this place was bursting with activity. Now, fun fact, this place is literally right smack in the middle of Redlands. A lot of you guys know where State Street is, and a lot of you guys know where this next location is. And I've literally parked right next to the spot, but I had to Google it to find it. So I'm going to save you guys some trouble. I'm going to show you exactly where you can go to find the Redlands Santa Fe train depot if you want to come down here and take a look at it yourself. It's that easy to find, guys. Alright, so for the next destination, we are over here at the Lincoln Memorial Shrine, downtown Redlands, right by the Smiley Library. Now, the first notable thing that you'll notice when you arrive here is that on the walls they have famous quotes. Right here is a plaque giving credit to the founders of the Lincoln Memorial Shrine, Robert Emery Ewert and Alma Watchorn. As per the name of this location, this building is fully dedicated to items of the Civil War and one of our greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln.
Thanks for coming.
Should be noted that in this picture, Abraham Lincoln has no beard. This is when he was still a congressman. You can see right here the congressional mail they used to be able to send for free. Still be able to do that today. Now you may also notice from this that he still does not have his beard. Now over here we have some fun things. We have Lincoln in copper, just like on the penny. And then we even have Lincoln in plastic. That is a life mask, everybody. Made when he was still with us.
It changed everything.
It is noted that many people were lost in the Civil War and many more could have been lost, if not for the power of the words of Lincoln. Now this is all about Sergeant Thomas Boston Corbett, who came after and took down the fiend, known as John Wilkes Booth, against orders, which makes him an official American hero. Now, one of the greatest things about this place is right when you walk in, you'll see a beautiful set of paintings. And these were all made elsewhere and brought over here. It's kind of hard to tell, but under each one is a word. The first is wisdom, second is justice, third is strength, fourth is loyalty, fifth is faith, sixth is courage, and seventh is tolerance. These are all attributes that would define the great American hero, Abraham Lincoln. Now, of course, this being a memorial to Abraham Lincoln, there's a lot of oddities and fun little facts that you can find. From trinkets to toys to magazines. Weird. You can also find many pictures in here by the famous Norman Rockwell, taking pictures of and illustrating pieces of Abraham Lincoln's life. Now, the feature that is the pride and joy of this shrine is this one right here, titled The Long Shadow of Abraham Lincoln. This was made by Norman Rockwell in an unusual style, and was by far one of the most controversial and beautiful pieces of his entire career. There's a larger one on the wall, as you can see here, which is currently valued at $40 million. Steven Spielberg himself attempted to buy this picture, but was respectfully turned down, as this was a gift given to the founder's wife for her passion and support of Norman Rockwell when the Post refused to put this picture on the front cover, as was the custom at the time. There's a lot of books here. Every single one of these is related to the war or Abraham Lincoln himself. I would like to do a huge shout out to the docents who work here. One of them which put together all these photos and magazines and made a collage of Abraham Lincoln's facial hair through his entire lifetime. Now, when you first come into this room, you'll see on the upper walls that they have an entire lifetime timeline for Abraham Lincoln. You can come in here and read all the little bits of his life painted right on the ceiling. All the way down to the fateful assassination and the ultimate accomplishment, even after his death. Now, Lincoln's blood wasn't the only blood that had to be shed in order for the 13th Amendment to be passed. Many soldiers lost their lives on both sides, fighting for what they believed in, and ultimately for the freedom of the slaves. You can kind of see here some of the tools and some of the metals and equipment that was used to fight and survive during that time period. Here we can also see some pictures and some practical items used around the fire for coffee and food and everything else. even entertainment. And as is the sad case with war, not everyone made it back home right away. There were some prisoners of war that were kept in rather poor conditions and ultimately stripped of everything they had. Most of these prisoners of war were sent home on a boat called the Sultana, which tragically was sunk by a terrorist who at the time did not agree with the things that were being put into place. That's not to say everyone didn't make it out. In fact, this one man here made it out in a rather strange way. There was a crocodile on the ship, and he was able to kill it and use its body to swim to shore in his debilitated and handicapped position after being so malnourished and mistreated. He made a few things and put them in a box after the Sultana went down, which you can see here. Now, as the war went on and as time went on, our technology improved and we were able to communicate better and ultimately save the lives of many soldiers who previously could not have been saved with the conditions. And though some methods have proven to be tried and true, we continue to grow and change as a country.
Coming out this morning, but it's a little overcast and not as hot as it's been lately. At this time, I would like to introduce the Mayor of Redlands and Scoutmaster Emeritus of Troop 11, Mr. Paul Foster.
Thank you, Philip. Just a very quick welcome for those of you that are not Redlanders. Welcome to our beautiful community on what I do think is a very wonderful day and a very wonderful event. The Lincoln Pilgrimage is part of the traditions of Redlands, and we're very proud of it. More importantly, we're proud of the Watchorn family and the gift that they gave to Redlands so many years ago in that of the Lincoln Shrine. So to all of you that are new to our community, we love having you here. To those of you that are lucky enough like me to live here, this is a great community, isn't it?
Attention. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, prepare to present colors. Color guard, present colors. Please salute the flag. Color guard, prepare to raise colors. Color guard, raise the colors. Everyone please salute.
flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard retreat.
Wish I made the eagle.
Audience at ease.
At this moment, I would like to read a telegram from the telegram office in the War Department. It was received in June of this year. General Lee of the Confederacy and his Army of Northern Virginia are rumored to be traveling up the Shenandoah Valley into Pennsylvania. Lee is invading the North. What is his goal? Harrisburg? Philadelphia? Washington City? Lee's advance is a bold move for a man who has not been defeated by our best. Up north here, the crops are ripe in the field, the orchards are full, and the meat is plentiful, all untouched by the war. Because most battles were below Washington, the North has been spared the utter devastation experienced by pretty much every state in the rebellious Confederacy. Now this may change. The public is in a panic, but I am elated, jubilant. Lee's bold move is a break from his usual conservative defensive battle plan. His moves are way out ahead of his supply line. He is vulnerable. He is in our grasp. On this ground in early July of this year, 1863, history was made. Men gave their lives for what they believed. With raised arms, cheers were lifted up, along with prayers. You see, both sides read the Bible, pray to the same God, but the prayers of both could not be answered. And for now, the cannons are silent. The muskets have all been stacked aside. There's a solemn presence blanketing these few acres here like in early morning fog. The earth beneath our feet is quietly shouting. Here lies a soldier, a comrade, a hero. Here lies a father, a brother, a son. We are assembled here today to honor those who fought and died on these surrounding battlefields. I have been asked as chief executive of the nation to formally set apart these grounds to their sacred use by a few appropriate remarks. Can this be accomplished? Standing here before you, many thoughts travel through my mind. And gazing out over the rolling hills, the gentle valleys, the grasses blowing in the breeze, I can see the markers, the mounds of earth, the wooden boxes. Can there be an explanation for such a scene? Can there be comfort for all the sorrow? Can there be an answer to the many questions? What do you tell a mother to ease the pain of her son not coming home? What words do you use for a wife whose husband won't be returning to her? How do you explain to a young child that her father won't be there to see her grow? How do you relate that it was for the right reason? That it was for freedom? that it was to preserve the Union. What words do you utter? What letters do you write? What address do you speak? 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We're met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Now for me, the reason that this historical tour of Redlands took place is because I may not have lived in Redlands, but I feel like I grew up here. I went to Packing House Christian Academy, had some amazing teachers, learned some amazing things, and came out being a man. And true, I did have a lot of growth to do after high school, but if I didn't understand the historical principles of our nation, if I didn't understand the importance of looking at myself critically and trying to grow with every step I took, I wouldn't be here talking to you. And so I wanted to come and do kind of a shout out to the whole city of Redlands, because if Redlands wasn't here, Packing House wouldn't be here. If Packing House hadn't been at Packing House, I wouldn't have been there. You know, there's a lot of history around this city. A lot of things that have impacted me more than I ever really thought they would. But upon looking back, I've just been amazed, shocked by the amount of impact that one city can have on a person's life. People can change people. Places can change people. I want this video to be a lesson about how we should always hold on and treasure our history. How we need to always appreciate the path that we're on and the places that we come through, and the people that can be affected as we go through each place. Thank you for joining me again on In Future Tense. I hope I'll see you soon, and we have a lot of great plans ahead. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today on another adventure. If you like what you saw, please feel free to share, like, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw for any reason, please feel free to leave a comment, and of course, there's always the dreaded dislike button. If you'd like to communicate with me, feel free to contact me either through Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. They can all be found under my name, James Eugene Hahn. If you'd like to support me financially, feel free to check out my Patreon link as well. Whatever we do in the future, it'll be intense. Hope to see you there.